Meta. Wait, this one was made by Steelwool? Dude, I love the VR games. This should be a good time. This title screen is the only time all 6 of the rescue squad are together after the intro, and I like that it's an actual place you can visit in the game. Wait, that's not the Act 1 or 2 house. How do these kids even know of the guest? Is it because of the statue being an engineer? Well, that confirms it. Engineer is important. How could they do this to me? Okay, what is going on with my wrist? Whoa, should we be collecting these? At least these give more validation for the catacombs in Hell and Neighbour 2. I love the level of interactivity this game has for most of its items. It makes it feel more immersive, which is a good thing to have for a VR game. Some of the important items can be finicky at best to work with, this crowbar being the prime example. I love how all 3 in the backyard have a different response to you giving them a fist bump, pointing, or shooting at them with finger guns. Like a Maritza plays along and pretends to be shot, or Finch fires back at you, or Enzo is scared for his fucking life. It makes them feel more alive, and again, ramps up that level of interactivity a VR game needs to feel well made. So, what was the plan here? It involves Enzo and Finch, but neither of them come down to the catacombs with us. What's up with that? Ivan, buddy, you've lost your collision. Damn, that transition was so obvious they had to put up a loading screen. Now, this wasn't in the original PC and PS5 version, but I'm playing around on the Quest 2, so I have the power of the Nintendo Switch basically. Damn, these loading screens are long at the best of times. I'll admit, the environmental design in this game is really damn good. It perfectly blends Hell and Neighbour 1 and 2 if you ask me. This genuinely got me to jump the first time, and even now it still catches me off guard time to time due to how it feels. Well, that and the fact that it's tied to my face helps things. The climbing in this game feels better than it has any right to. Normally I'd get motion sick with Free Roam VR, but something about this specific game made it to where I wasn't having that issue until about an hour or so in. It's just so buttery smooth to play and it has no right being this well put together for the funny neighbour game. So no matter what you do, Theo can't see you. Trinity is hiding, making it seem like you need to too, but no. You're as invisible to him as adult Nicky after school. Now we get to what I consider to be the main gimmick of Search and Rescue. The character switching. Honestly, it works super well, though we'll get into that later. For now, this area serves as a great tutorial for the concept. So since every character but Ivan and Delroy have a special item, they decided to give Trinity a flashlight and make all of her areas dark as shit. While the other 3 items add to their puzzle solving, Trinity's just adds in something that wasn't an issue for anybody else. I like the sliding, that's all. I'm so glad you can grab the sides of the ladder. So how exactly does this work? I took a door from the catacombs to a normal looking room, but why? How? I'm so glad we have a lot of these peepholes. Makes being able to use my head as the camera work so much better. Okay, so later on when we come back here with the other characters, there's something you have to do to get here, spinning the wheel, and getting enveloped in some kind of smoke. So how did Delroy get here without doing that? Is this still in the Theo's house? Even then, it's too much fun to play around with these items. I swear they used these for the boxes in Hell and Neighbour 2. As always, the music is amazing. Moving on. These trippy as hell visuals look so damn good when in the headset. Suddenly it's a Hell and Neighbour 1 death minigame. I guess Delroy is just gone, and we've come up with a new plan. So how are we getting in there, guys? Going through that hole didn't exactly work the first time. Enzo, buddy, there is a door right there. Just use the dang door! Giving this a win for being character accurate though. Oh, they took the hole. The one we just lost Delroy to. Okay, how did any of you make it into this house? Not only through that random hole in the ground, but without Theo noticing. This is my biggest and only real issue with the plot of this game. I also have no idea how Theo's AI actually works here. It doesn't help that while I can hear him to my sides, I can't hear his elevation. So he always sounds like he's on my current story of the house, even when I'm 2 stories away from him. So that's why I want to send you to the void for the jump scares. So why does just holding the magnifying glass show me all this stuff? Also, how did Enzo get himself locked up? Of course, if it was going to be anybody, it would be Enzo. And we continue the tradition of obviously falling into the character. How did he grab me from all the way over there? I had such a genuinely hard time opening this thing. The crowbar is by far the worst item here. The character-specific puzzles here are done pretty well, though only Maritza and Finch get to do a lot of them. Having to hand off the keys between the kids makes it really feel like we're working with each other. So to my understanding, Theo can only see the area where your collision is, meaning if you lean your head he won't be able to see you. While unrealistic and a little jarring, it does help. Sometimes. Like I already said, I really love the climbing in this game. I love just how high they make you go. Having a fear of heights really does make this genuinely terrifying, but that's probably not going to be the same for everybody. I also like how it's Maritza going up this high, because that perfectly fits her character. Somehow she survives this. This is one of those areas I'm pretty sure Theo just can't reach you in, until you finish the puzzle, that is. This puzzle, fuck this puzzle. You need to twist these bolts to make sure they match up the image there, but twisting one twists another and it's just a fucking mess. So, somehow, this car is linked to open in the garage. But why though? Finch gets all the best shit due to having a slingshot. This is also that room from the title screen. So Theo, why do you have this in your yard? We saw 3 of these books upstairs, how was I meant to know this one would have a key in it? Oh great, it's back. Something I can give this game is that as your team starts to thin out, they still give you ways to access all areas of the house. Again, with Finch having the best stuff, turns out having a long-ranged weapon will do that. Whatever the heck I was doing here, I think the headset just messed up on me. I went an entire 30-minute video file just trying to find this damn fuse. It doesn't stick out or anything, meaning I keep forgetting it's here every time I play. They seriously need to restrict my camera movement during a jump scare. Another climbing sequence, and it's my favourite of the bunch? Perfect. The ledge pulling doesn't work sometimes. Honestly, I expected to not be able to explore the front yard, just given how restrictive this game can be. This is honestly when Enzo's magnifying glass works out the best. When placed in a massive room until to look around and solve the puzzles in front of you. It's good shit. Unreal's wonky physics makes accurately throwing something really hard, meaning this section is almost impossible. At least here it makes sense for the area to be very dark. We're in a windowless basement after all. Now I'm starting to see why they gave her a flashlight. I also like the fake out. You're expecting the basement to be some extravagant thing from how Act 1 went. Act 1 of this game specifically. But when you get down here, it's just normal. And now we head into Act 2B. And honestly, this is a pretty good way to drag out game time. Hello Neighbour is pretty infamous for its shorter run times, but this is like opening up a new house, but without actually having to load up a new map to do so. Wait, why is all this here for Maya? I thought Aaron had this stall. And now we're in the trippy as hell basement sequences. I must admit, it's hard to get the full experience without being in the headset. But when in the headset with a good pair of headphones, this place is so tense and creepy. I love it. This is what the basement of the first game should have felt like. Diane finally has a cardboard cutout. It's about time. She was the only one to not have one before this. Wait, is that Aaron? How you doing, buddy? Come on, let's get you out of here. Oh, okay. No need to slam the door in my face. Is that the fucking guest? At 5 wins. I just really like the guest, okay? I'm glad they used simming for this. It's a great callback to Secret Neighbour, which this game is something of a replacement for. Hey, Aaron? How the fuck did you get up there? This is my favourite version of Diane's death we've seen. More character work for Aaron. He seems to be the character who got the most love when it comes to having a consistent characterization. See, this is something that only works in VR. While it looks great while flat, you lose a lot of the charm in being in VR. I can see why this was the Steelwall game that didn't get a flat mode. It's way too dependent on being a VR game, unlike the Help Wanted games, which are only kinda dependent on being VR games. I'm glad Finch gets to keep using a slingshot. It's starting to feel like she's the only one who gets to use their item consistently. Yeah, this actually got me. Multiple times. It always catches me off guard. Honestly, this climbing section, combined with the visuals, makes this one of the most memorable moments in my mind. It stands out so much to me. While the other basement areas are really visually stunning, they don't have much gameplay going on. But here, this is what all of them should have been. Again, what is it with Finch and getting all the best sections? Is it to make up for having very little to do in the TV show? First 2 seasons anyway? Oh hey, now we're Nikki cardboard cutout. Somehow this VR midquill managed to put in more effort than the original game. Obvious transition is very obvious this time. Fast screw it, have 2 back to back. Why? No clue, just do it. In general, this little area is somehow really confusing on what to do and where to go. So what exactly is this area trying to show us? That the guest can shapeshift into a crow? It also makes it seem like he has some kind of precognition since this just happened a few minutes later. Or rather, something like this happens a few minutes later. So with Quentin and that hanging bird, why is Trinity seeing this? The fact this trap even works. So Ivan is the only one who never ends up in the basement, but that it also continues to make him feel more disconnected from the rest of the group. And so now, for the first time ever, we actually play as Aaron. Although, where is this room even? And now that we're in Act 3, we get something really cool. We get to play as the guest, being able to see the world through the guest's eyes. This was not something I expected us to get, but I also think it helps give us a greater understanding of the guest. To an extent anyways. I just really like this bird fuck, so being able to play as him really works well for me. In fact, this game is why I love the guest so much. Something else I also really like is how the guest sees people's cardboard cutouts as things for him to move and do so with what he needs. Again, it really makes me appreciate the guest more than Hello Neighbour 2 ever got me to. I should not have been able to do this. So, it's about time I address this. What is even going on with the basement in this game? This is the only game where the basement is genuinely supernatural, and I don't know why. While the first game had a big basement, it was still clearly dug out and constructed by hand. But this? What happened here? Is this the work of the guest? If so, why? The guest seems to be very anti-Theo from what we saw in Hello Neighbour 2. And now this game, especially this game. So who did this? And why? But also, damn, the music goes so fucking hard. This is the OST for Theo's basement in my eyes. I also like how when you switch to the guest, the entire world rotates with some more strange goings on. Again, it plays into just how supernatural the guest is. So I know I've already mentioned how the ledge pulling sometimes doesn't work, but I think because they made the guest even taller than the kids, he has an even harder time pulling himself up. It worked here, but on most of my playthroughs, I spend like 10 minutes trying to get myself up. So Theo doesn't exist in Act 3. There is no AI to try and walk around. However, when you get into a light, he just spawns in thin air and kill you? Even weirder, we're playing as Aaron. I know Theo is aggressive with Aaron, but I don't think he'd get this aggressive. I also really like this climbing section. Climbing around floating objects as the guest, with the climbing being as sputtery smooth as it is when you're not trying to ledge grab. This is why this is my favourite Hello Neighbour game. And being completely real, this room took me forever to figure out, mostly because it wasn't made the most clear that one of these cages has a grab handle on it. Everything grabbable is yellow in this game. The bottom of this cage is a duller yellow than most things, and is only wrapped in a yellow bandage thingy rather than being completely yellow. And it's so close to the floor I never noticed it. Oh no, Finch, you've lost all your collision. Damn that, Peterson. I don't even know what happened here. I like how this section actually has some stuff for Aaron to do. I feel like most devs would run with the idea that the bird demon is doing everything, but this makes it feel like Aaron and the guest are really working together. Something this game just does well is make it feel like everybody is genuinely working together. Something other games in this franchise really fail at. I also like the movement on the character work for Enzo. This game shows off a lot of personality despite having no voiceover. I did it again. I don't think this was the intended way to do this. Okay, now I really have to question what is going on here. Somehow Theo starts falling onto the ceiling, where he then sees the guest, runs away with this giant ass key, and then suddenly the guest isn't on the ceiling anymore, but walking around in the real world, despite the fact that when we walked in with Aaron it was the normal world, with Theo up there. The level of supernatural fuckery going on here just feels out of place, even for this game, all because Theo is meant to be terrified of the guest. Despite that massive rant I just went on, honestly, this final chase sequence is possibly one of my favourite moments in this game. Finally being able to chase down Theo, being the one in the control of the situation. It feels really cathartic after having him be the enemy for so many games. So what's up with the simming tornado anyway? Is it trying to represent the deep shit Theo does dug himself into by throwing 8 children into the basement? And so suddenly we're back in the real world somehow. Maybe Theo isn't taking the kid's collision. Maybe the guest has been stealing it this entire time. I guess we can add reality alterations like guest lists of powers, because what the fuck is even going on with this thing? And thus we get to see how Aaron freed Nikki. Honestly, this felt like the most natural way to shove the guest into the first game. Though maybe this explains why Theo let Nikki go free after he escaped the house in HM1. Maybe he made a deal with the guest? Wait, Ivan didn't even go into the basement. Why is he even here? Okay, it's official. Act 2 got completely retconned out of the Hello Neighbour timeline. Thank fucking god. I'm not usually one to like retcons, but thank god Act 2 was retconned. And now we have the general time frame for when the cops show up after Act 2. Like, directly after. Meaning we now know when Quentin shows up in Ravenbrooks. That being the night Nikki is freed. So this being a prequel, there's only so much these guys are able to do. While this story does feel mostly complete, it's clear they had to leave Aaron as a loose thread. We're never actually given a follow-up to Aaron's deal with the guest. And maybe that's why the guest is so hell-bent on keeping Quentin in Ravenbrooks, but we're just not sure. And this game wasn't allowed to tell us because Hello Neighbour 2 exists. And ultimately, that's the biggest issue with this game's plot. While it's somehow less filler than Hello Neighbour 2, Hello Neighbour 2 existing means it cannot finish its own self-contained story, because Aaron has to stay with Theo for Hello Neighbour 2 to exist. This game is somehow less of a filler game than the named sequel, but is not allowed to finish its story because that filler game exists.
It's us or it's nobody.